school tend to struggle sometimes.
Yeah, you have like a bigger
Hey,
view.
you have the really good ideas though. Like when you come in for extra help, it really makes a difference, and then you get to learn it even better. So if you guys want to do that, some people like I don't know who your teacher is, but he's usually available.
What hours?
For extra, like 5th hour and 8th hour, and like before and after school. Just saying. Your teacher, I don't know who he is, but he's usually available.
Yeah. Who is he? History.
Alright. Alright, hey, we got notes to do yet. We gotta do notes. I think we got what? Is that it? Is that all we have? 6 problems? Alright, we have 6 problems to do. What time are we out of here? 33. I do not think we'll get through all 6. Just my perspective. We might not do all 6. Because I think they are a little bit longer than the ones we did yesterday. They're more challenging than the ones we did yesterday. Alright? So they're the same type of problems. We're still adding and subtracting. We still need to find a common denominator. They're just a little more difficult. And you guys are okay. You will survive. You can do this. I have faith in you. Right? We must find one. When one denominator is opposite the other, we multiply by -1 to get a common denominator. If we come across it, we'll see. Alright. Yesterday was really easy. You can figure out least common denominators by multiplying them. Well, today our first problem says x over x plus 5 minus 3 over x minus 1. I need a common denominator. What could we do, you think? Any idea? Not multiply by -1. That's just going to change our signs. We cannot, well that's if they're just opposites of each other. Then we multiply by -1. We can't just add 6. Right? We don't add things to make common denominators. We multiply things to make common denominators, right? Foil? What do you mean by foil? Just like foil anything?
Foil them on each other.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, we're not actually going to foil, but we are going to multiply them by each other. Our least common denominator for this problem, I have x plus 5, I have x minus 1. I'm going to multiply those together. X plus 5 times x minus 1. However, I am not foiling that. I'm leaving it simplified because when I actually do the addition and subtraction, I might be able to simplify things at the end and I don't want to factor it again. Alright, so I'm going to leave it like that. Right, this is just like if I gave you a fraction that was like 1 over x minus 1 over y. You would multiply x times y and y times x to get a least common denominator, right? Same sort of idea here. I'm going to take the first fraction and I'm going to multiply by x minus 1 on top and bottom. X plus 5, x minus 1. Minus 3. I'm going to multiply by x plus 5 on top and bottom. Because now I'll have common denominators. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Yes, Ange.
Where did you get the x minus 1?
Because I took x, and because I had to multiply by x minus 1 to get my least common denominator, I did it in the top as well. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to distribute on top x squared minus x over. And I'm leaving my denominator still. X plus 5 times x minus 1. Minus 3x plus 15. Over. Leave your denominator. I'm going to rearrange them. Right? I can arrange them in any order I want when I multiply. So I'm just going to rearrange them so they look the same. You don't have to, but I like to. Alright. Then I can do my subtraction. I get x squared. Right? Because x squared minus, there's no like term. Negative x minus 3x will give me minus 4x. Nothing minus 15 will give me negative 15. Remember, this subtraction goes to both of our pieces. Alright? Subtraction goes to both pieces. Over x plus 5, x minus 1. Alright. So we need to try and simplify this now. So see if you can factor the numerator. Can you factor the numerator? You cannot. It is not factorable. So what do we have to do to get a final answer?
That factor at the bottom.
Foil the bottom, right?
Part.
Foil the bottom. I get x squared minus 4x minus 15 over x times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is negative 1x. Plus 5x. Do you mind if I just do that right away? Do I have to write that out?
No.
Okay. So, negative 1x plus 5x will be plus 4x. Minus 5. That's my final answer. So all I did is I foiled out my denominator there. Is everyone okay with me skipping that middle step there? Alright. I know it's kind of confusing to start with. Do we have any questions right now? Should we try another one? Okay, let's try another one. 5 over 4x minus 1 minus 2x over 3x minus 2. So same sort of thing. I need to get a least common denominator here. An LCD, if you will. I'm going to do the same thing, right? These are whole pieces here. To get a least common denominator, I'm going to have to multiply them together. 4x minus 1 times 3x minus 2. Okay? So if I look at the first fraction, I'm missing that 3x minus 2 part. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 3x minus 2. Then I'm going to look, minus 2x over. I'm missing the 4x minus 1 part. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 4x minus 1. Now, there will be times where we don't need to just multiply two together, and we'll see that in a little bit. Right now, that's what works. Okay? What's my next step? What did we do in the last problem? Distribute across the top. 15x minus 10 over, we left this the same, 4x minus 1, 3x minus 2. Minus 2x times 4x is 8x squared. Minus 2x over, leave your denominator the same. Or you can switch the order, which I didn't do this time, I did it last time. Doesn't matter. Okay. Once you've distributed, combine your like terms on top. If I rewrite this, I get technically minus 8x squared. I always like to put my x squared part first. Does it matter what order you put them in? No, but for factoring purposes, it's always nice to have that x squared part first. Right? That subtraction goes to both pieces, remember? 15x minus negative 2x plus 17x. 15x minus negative 2 is plus 2. Negative 10, technically minus 0 is just negative 10. Over 4x minus 1, 3x minus 2. Now, I'm going to save you the trouble. I'm going to tell you right now that numerator does not factor. Alright? If it did factor, you should try and factor it and simplify. But because it doesn't, we're just going to FOIL our denominator, and that'll be our answer. Negative 8x squared plus 17x minus 10. So that's over 4x times 3x is 12x squared. 4x times negative 2 is negative 8x. 3x times negative 1, negative 3x. So add those together. Minus 11x. Negative 1 times negative 2, positive 2. That's my final answer. Okay? So I just FOILed my denominator. That's all I did. I just did it in one step though. Anne, do you have a question?
Do you have to subtract first, or can you just like take out of 5 out of 13x minus 10, take out 2x out of 8x minus 1, and then
You could do that, but that's not really gonna help us, because then when we need to subtract, it's gonna be a big mess.
but I got it simplified to 5 minus 2x over the 12x squared over 4x.
Okay, so you're saying you did 5 over x minus 2, 2x times 4x minus 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you cancel this out? Is that what you're saying, or what'd you do?
Yeah, and then I canceled it out.
Okay, but then can I actually do the subtraction if I don't have a common denominator over here?
Well, we'll also take out the 3x minus 2, because 15 times 5 is 3.
Okay, so you take out 3x minus 2 over here then?
Yeah.
But do I still have common denominators then if I take those 2 away? Because that technically, Ange, brings me right back to where we started at, right?
Yeah.
So we don't want that. Because if we cancel those out, we're right back where we began. We can't actually subtract them. Alright, let's try another. 3 over x minus 4 plus 4x plus 2 over x squared plus x minus 20. Alright, how many of us just think you should take x minus 4 and multiply it by x squared plus x minus 20?
No.
Right now, that's my idea. What do you think we should do though? Factor. Let's factor this second denominator so we can kind of take a look at it. 3 over x minus 4 plus 4x plus 2 over, multiplies to negative 20, adds to positive 1. I get x plus 5, x minus 4. Alright. Do they share any pieces? Yeah, they share an x minus 4, right? So I know that's going to be part of my least common denominator. Now, the easiest least common denominator to make here then would be x minus 4 times x plus 5. Right? Because they already share x minus 4. I don't need to worry about that. And then I'm only to multiply the first fraction by x plus 5 to get that least common denominator then. So my least common denominator will be x minus 4 times x plus 5. Does that make sense? Yes? No? Okay. Well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the first one. We said it's missing an x plus 5. So I'm going to multiply bottom and top by x plus 5. Do I need to change the second fraction at all? No, it's already got my least common denominator. X plus 5, x minus 4. Alright, same thing we did before. Distribute first. 3x plus 15 over x minus 4, x plus 5, plus 4x plus 2 over x plus 5, x minus 4. Did I go too fast or do we follow me? Right? So we took to get our least common denominator in the first fraction, we multiplied top and bottom by x plus 5. Then all I did was I distributed into it. So 3x plus 15 over x plus 4, or x minus 4x plus 5. Now that I have common denominators, I can add. 3x plus 4x is 7x. 15 plus 2 is 17. And over my common denominator. How many zero out here? 33. Okay, good. Can I factor this top part at all? No. So am I going to be able to simplify it all? No. So I can just FOIL my denominator. I'll be good to go. 7x plus 17 over x squared plus x minus 20. Right? It's the same as one of our original denominators. Are we okay with that, what I just did? Right? All I do is FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. 5 times x is positive 5x. So 5x minus 4x is x. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. Are we okay? Question?
So if one of the numerators has an x in it, you don't need to divide, or you don't need to multiply by the denominator?
So when we're
Like for 4x plus 2, because we didn't do anything to that.
so we didn't do anything to that because our denominator for that fraction was already the least common denominator we were looking for.
Oh.
Okay, so we don't have to change anything in it to get that least common denominator. Okay? Alright, we're going to do one more problem. It's going to be E. We're going to do E. Alright. 2 over x squared minus 6x minus 7 plus 5 over x squared minus 2x minus 3. Well, first thing we should do, factor your denominators so we can get a better look at them. First one should factor to x minus 7, x plus 1. Second one should factor to x minus 3, x plus 1. So if I'm looking for a least common denominator, do they share any factors already?
Yes.
X plus 1, so I know for a fact I'm putting that first. Well, then to get a least common denominator, I'm going to multiply by both x minus 7 and x minus 3. So not only am I going to have 2 pieces, but I'm going to have 3 pieces in my denominator. Alright, so you take what they share, and that's one part, and multiply by everything else that we have left. Okay? So in our first fraction, what part am I missing in my denominator? X minus 3. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by x minus 3. Okay, the second fraction, which part am I missing? X minus 7. So multiply top and bottom by x minus 7. Alright, now that we have our common denominators, we can distribute, just like we have been, 2x minus 6 over our whole denominator plus 5x minus 35 over the whole denominator. Now if you get really good at this, you can probably do it where you just work with the numerators and then add your denominator back in at the end. That's perfectly fine. I'm writing out all the steps. Okay? Alright, I have common denominators. Can I add now? Yeah. 2x plus 5x gives me 7x. Negative 6 plus negative 35. Negative 41. Over that whole denominator, x minus 7, x plus 1, x minus 3. Am I going to be able to factor that numerator to where it's going to help me? No, am I going to be able to factor it at all? No. That is our final answer. Because how many of you know how to multiply 3 of those things up? We don't, right? And we don't expect you to know that. So if you ever come across an answer where you have 3 sets of parentheses in the denominator, just leave it. Okay, that's a good answer. Okay? Alright, I know we didn't get to 2 of the problems. Like usual, they are on Schoology. There's a filled in note packet on there, so if you want to check them out, you can. Are there any questions before I hand out the homework? Okay.